Welcome back. In this video, we're going to have a talk about assignment 1. Now, assignment 1 shouldn't be started until you have completed all of week 1, week 2, including all of the videos, and week 3, both of these videos. Okay? This is much more important than the assignment at this stage. The reason being is that these will support you in the assignment and the labs and the exam and the real-time assignment. So it's much more important to have that knowledge rather than just doing the assignment and guessing and wasting time. Make sure you understand the content first, then tackle the assignment. So the assignment is found on the Assignments tab, as shown here. A reminder that the assignment needs to compile on our system, so make sure that you are using our system for running and compiling the code. The assignment file is found here. Make sure if you did use an earlier version when it said it was a draft, make sure you re-downloaded the files because now it's fully released. So we can open that up. There's also 2 other files here. There's an example of task 2 and the test cases, which we'll have a look at a little bit later. There is 2 submissions. The first is the agreement. So this agreement needs to be done before submitting the assignment. This basically says that you haven't plagiarized and that you're agreeing to that so that if you get charged, you have signed this and you knew all of these things. So you can't submit until you've done that, okay? So make sure you do that and make sure you read it really, really carefully because the consequences can be quite severe, okay? So now we'll have a look at the assignment documentation. So this is the first page of the assignment. The task requires 4 submissions. You've got 3 bits of code and a test case as a PDF. Okay. There are no extensions. If you have a legitimate reason for an extension, the doctor's certificate must cover a period greater than 3 days. So if it just covers 1 day, that won't be accepted. And it has to be submitted less than 3 days before the assignment is due. Okay. Keep going. Academic integrity applies here. Okay. And then we get to here. Download the code package. So every student will have their own code package. If you use someone else's code package, you will get 0 for the entire assignment. So you must use the code package given. So what we're going to do is go into the directory assignment 1 that we created in lab 0 in week 1. And then we're going to copy all the files we need using this copy command. There's a description of this here so you know in future what the copy command is and why there's a little dot here as well. Okay. If you make a mistake and you need to re-download a particular file, you can download the individual files as shown here, but you can download them all the very first time using this. As seen in most IT and computer science courses, the square braces here basically means replace, and you need to replace it with your student number. So let's go to Unix and let's download some assignment. So we're in Unix. I'm going to go into my PES 2020 folder. I'm then going to change into my assignments folder, and then I'm going to change into assignment 1. From here, I should have an empty folder. So I'm going to type copy tilde CSI lib /CSE 1PES /students /assignment 1, assign 1, sorry, my student number this is just a dummy student number. Okay, so this would be your student number, star, space, dot. Once that's done, if it worked, you should see nothing. If it didn't work, you'll see no match. If you see no match, you need to go back and double check your spelling. Make sure the L's are L's and the ones are ones. That's usually a common mistake. Or people forget to add the destination, which is here. Okay. So if I type ls now, I should see 4 files. Okay, make sure that you see all 4 of these files. So we've done that, and now we get to the first task. This is debugging the compile time errors. So your first task is to compile task1.c. You should find 3 or more compile time errors, and so we can do that here. So we can go cc minus warnings all output. Oops. Output. I'm just going to call it task1, and then I'm going to compile sign 1 underscore task 1.c. When I compile it, I've got some errors. I've also got some warnings, which I need to fix. Okay, so I should have no errors or warnings at the end. So I'm going to open this up using Notepad++. Okay, open up the C file, and there's a lot of code there. Now, what we've learned so far is that we shouldn't tackle this as one big piece of code. Rather, we should take it in small chunks. So what I'm going to do first is comment out everything that I see here and just focus first on my hash include, main, and return. I'll save that, come back, recompile, and we can see that there is still errors. So I know that the error has to be on this line, this line, this line, this line, or this line. So I've reduced the mistakes. From there, I can fix the mistakes. So here there's an extra T in return. So I save that, recompile, and I've got no errors. So now I'll move this commenting down, save it, recompile. I'm not getting any errors. I'm getting a couple of warnings of unused variables. That makes sense. I haven't used them yet. So I'll keep moving this down. Okay, recompiling, and then I get another error. And now I'll deal with that. Okay, so this is the way you should be approaching this, a little bit at a time, and solving all the errors so that your program at the end has no warning or errors. Okay, so that's the task. Do not change the logic, just change the things that are wrong. Okay, we will check this. If you're changing the logic, it shows that you're guessing, and we'll pick this up in the marking. Okay, so you need to focus on the errors, not the logic. All right, so that is the first task. The second task is focusing on logic errors. So you'll need to open up the assignment 1 task 2 description. Okay, so we're going to open that up. Which one's the description? Let's make this a little bit bigger. Move this across. Task 2 description. So you should have a description, something like this, and what you need to do is write 8 test cases based on this. Don't worry about the code yet. You should focus in on this. It gives you all the variable names, and so you need to write a test case like shown here. Okay, so here you need to decide the user inputs. Now they should cover every single case, so make sure that they go inside of every else and else if and if. So choose your values wisely. What you expect it to be, and then what it actually is. Okay, so with the expected, you'll need to use a calculator, calculate it and see what it's meant to be, and then you're going to run it and see what it actually is. With the code, some of the variables it'll be hard to see, so you'll need to add printfs to see their value. Now, I've done a smaller example of this on LMS, which is example of task 2. Okay, so it's a smaller bit of code, okay, but you can see that I write test cases based on this description, and then I run it and I see what's right or wrong. Then using what's wrong, I'm able to fix it. Okay, you need to do this highlighting as well. Now, one big mistake a lot of students might do is you need to do this first test before changing any of the logic in your code. Okay, so without changing the logic, you can add printfs for checking what the output is, but you need to run it the first time while it's still wrong. Okay, once you've picked up all the errors, okay, we know what the errors are, so we'll be checking that you did actually pick up all the mistakes. Then you can attempt to fix it, and then you retry. Okay, so follow that example. Okay, write the test cases, don't change the code, run the code, and see what the values are and find which values are wrong. Okay, where are we? So from there, you'll need to write your test cases. There is a Word document here for you to write your test cases, okay? And you need to save it like this, okay, as a PDF, okay? So the template is there, just download it and do your test cases there. All right, from there you're going to get task 3. Task 3 just requires you to write some code. This will require for loops, which we haven't touched yet. So it's not expected that you start right now, but if you want to do some reading ahead, you can start this task. The task is given and the example output is also given what's expected your output to look like. Okay, so your output must match whatever's there. That's what it'll be tested against. Now, you do need to do a couple of things with this code. The formatting needs to be specified as specified, so you need to use the proper width and justification. Text to user needs to be easily understandable. That's not really relevant for this assignment, but will be for the next one. The program must print your student number, so you need to put your student number here, and you need to print that. Types should be used appropriately. If you only need ints and you're using floats, that will be marked down. Okay. If you want to use functions, you're welcome to. If you use them, you won't get any extra marks. And if you don't use them, you won't get any extra marks or lose marks. Okay. We don't really mind what you do with functions. You must use comments to explain significant lines of code. Okay. And also you must have a description at the top of your code. Okay. The code must be done using ANSI-C and compile on LATCS5 using GCC. You are not allowed to use break or goto in this assignment. Okay? You are only allowed to include the standard io.h header file, no others. Do not use conio.h. If you don't know what that is, good. All right, so from there, if you do break these rules, if you use break, you will get 40% less of your final mark for the whole assignment. If you use goto, you will lose 60% of your final mark for the whole assignment. If you use other headers other than standard IO, you will lose 80% of your final mark. And if you use someone else's assignment template, you will lose 100% because we're testing it against yours, okay? So we can't actually test it if it's not yours. There is a rubric here that you can follow, and that will tell you where you're getting marked. Good luck. don't stress about it too much. You've still got a couple of weeks. You should be able to do the first task fairly easily given what you know so far. All right. Thank you and good luck.